All right, Beds, we're back for an episode of The Cheap Seats. A lot of sports to talk about, pal. You ready to roll?
Let's rock, baby.
So, we're going to do this rundown style like we did last time. 3 minutes per topic. We're just going to fire away whatever we think of. As soon as the 3 minutes goes by, on to the next thing. So, that work for you?
Let's dominate. We got a pretty fun list to go through, so
Yeah, we absolutely have a fun list. I mean, it is kind of like a weird time in sports, though. I mean, football's been done for a month. We're not at playoff basketball yet. Baseball is a few weeks away, so it's a little bit of a weird in between zone where there's some off season things happening. But we'll get to all that. So I'm gonna start the clock if you're ready.
let's let's dance.
All
Let's
right,
do it.
all right. I'm starting the clock. The thing that I want to talk about first is I think the thing that I've been the most excited about lately, and that's Jayson Tatum's return to the Celtics. So he came back last week, Friday night against the Mavericks. What did he put up? 15 points, 12 rebounds.
Yep.
Solid return. What did you think about that?
You could tell like the game speed was off, but man, he actually started to settle in nicely in the second half. I love the way his game has been. I've actually watched every minute of the three games that he's been back, and I always like how he is in space when he's not speeding up his play. And so far, he's been like methodical. And as he plays more games and his jumper comes back, if we get the Tatum playing like this, I'll take this all day. What'd you think?
I thought it was like the best thing. I don't know where to rank it historically because I've obviously missed a lot of regular season games in all the four major sports in Boston. But dude, that seemed like that Friday night seemed like as big of an event as I could remember for Boston sports regular season. Like, is that a top 10 regular season Boston Big Four sports games? Like, I don't know. I mean, just like Tatum's return and all the hype that came along with piggyback with Cooper Flag's first time playing in Boston and then the whole state of Maine being at the Garden as well to see it. It just seemed like such a big deal for a regular season game.
Off the Pike, that podcast that I like to listen to, he was talking, I think, to Chad Finn. And Chad was saying that that was the most hyped regular season game as far as like the energy in the crowd that he can remember in forever. Dude, you could actually feel it through the television. It was pretty hype. I loved it.
Dude, 100%. And I thought that was going to be like the Cooper Flag game, right? That was the thing. But like, dude, Cooper Flag being there was a freaking side note on the whole night. It was like all Jayson Tatum. And it was great to see him back out there, man. You know, you see him on the sidelines for the past few months of the season, and it's just whatever, he's there. But like to see him get introduced, wearing the uniform, yeah, he did start out 0 for 6, which is a little bit cold. But once he had that putback dunk and then the 3 pointer, 30 seconds later, it was like, okay, you could tell that like weight had lifted off his shoulder. And then he at one point he hit a 3 pointer with someone in his face in like the left corner, and it was just like, all right, let's go. And he went on to have a great rest of the game.
Jason has this weird hitch sometimes when he has to shoot a shot where he's moving, where he's not going left. You know, anything right? He's got this weird hitch. I love the way that 3 pointer went in the basket, the follow through, the rip through the cord. It just was like, all right, fucking let's go, Tatum. You know what I mean? I don't know. I can't articulate it any better than saying I just think it's amazing he's back. He looks like old Jason Tatum. The Celtics have been so surprising to me. I thought they were going to be terrible this year.
Yeah, and it's great. They played the Spurs great last night, so I'm excited about the rest of the season. So that's the 3 minutes, though, dude. Ready for the next thing?
We go into Bam.
We're going to Bam. I feel like it's worth mentioning somewhat towards the top. He put up 83 points last night, the second most ever behind Wilt Chamberlain. Big deal that he beat Kobe's 81. I remember when Kobe got that 81. That was probably, I think I was in college, maybe like 20 years ago, 20 something years ago. So it was kind of a big deal that he put up the 83, but I don't know that people love the way he did it. He had 46 free throw attempts, made 36 of them, and it just seemed like the Heat were kind of really pushing for him to get to that 83 number to beat
Yeah.
Kobe. It
Yeah.
wasn't organic. I don't believe they ended up winning the game, or they ended up smoking the Wizards, but it was just different when Kobe did it. So, what are your thoughts on the overall thing?
The way that you just said that was perfect. It wasn't organic. They like forced the last couple of minutes of that, and it just kind of feels a little different initially. Some of I think the Greek and a couple other guys said, look, a couple years from now, you're not going to remember how many free throws. You're not going to remember the fouling at the end of the game. You're just going to see the 83 number, and you're going to wonder the next guy that's going to top it. When is that going to happen? But I don't know, man. Watching the replay, it just It isn't a legit 83 to me. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it doesn't seem. I can't say that I watched it all, but like the commentary is kind of going down that direction. Were you surprised that of all people, it was Bam Adebayo?
I get a text late last night, and it was just Bam has 81, and I'm like, who the hell is Bam? I'm like, the only Bam I know is from the Heat. How does he have 81? It takes like 8 games for him to get 81 sometimes.
Yeah, like for me, it's Luca or Wemby. Wemby's kind of beast mode right now, but
Jesus, last night he killed the Celtics. He's scaring the shit out of me.
when he gets around the hoop, he like has to jump like 2 inches and dunks it. It's wild,
His
and
three
he can
pointer,
shoot.
dude, his 3 pointer looks like he's a 6'5" shooting guard.
Yeah, but like
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if someone was like, "Oh, hey, Wemby just scored 83 points in his second year in the league." I'd be like, "Yeah, obviously he's freaking nasty." But Bam Adebayo, yeah, a little bit surprising. So
well,
whatever. I mean, you probably will remember it though. You know, I mean, you remember some of the high scoring games, and his name will be on that list as the second highest ever.
he had 31 in the first quarter, so he came out strong. So it's like I don't want to shit all over it, but it's like I think it was like a minute and 20 seconds to go. The Miami Heat players are intentionally fouling to put the opposite team on the line so Bam can come back down and have an offensive opportunity. Weird. It's weird. It's like I don't want to be an old hat, but I'm old hatting it here.
Yeah. All right. Well, good for Bam. On to the next topic. We're going to switch sports now. Going to go a little bit baseball, and I want to talk about the World Baseball Classic. Have you been watching that?
Highlights, I've caught a couple of innings. I'm totally aware of it. Roman Anthony sticks out to me, obviously.
Home run last night, right? He had a home run last night.
2 nights ago, and dude, it was a bomb. It was
Okay. Yeah.
absolutely smashed.
But he's just like a young kid doing a great job for Team USA. But Team USA did lose to Italy last night, which was a pretty big upset. And now USA does not control their fate in terms of getting into the actual tournament part. I think they need Italy to lose against Mexico, I believe. But
Yeah.
I do like the idea of the World Baseball Classic. I can't say I've been like all in on watching like all of it, but I expect as the elimination games come into play, I'll definitely be watching it. But sounds like Yoshida's Babe Ruth as well right now, which is pretty wild.
Yoshida, everything is sort of encouraging right now for Red Sox players. A little side piece to this is like I always sort of enjoy some of the whispers of it, the mechanics of how a guy ends up playing for a certain country, where his origin is versus where his citizenship is. It's funny how some of that is judged a little bit more now. Like Euclid, I guess Euclid is on the I actually was reading something about how they were piling on him for not being part of the USA coaching tree, and I'm like,
Who's he
what?
coaching for?
I think it's Greek, right?
Euclid.
Yeah.
Uh,
I was just reading through this, and there was him, somebody else, and they were just crapping all over the fact that they should have been playing for somebody else, and I'm like,
yeah, that stuff definitely happens in all these things. It happens in the Olympics. It happens in all kinds of different things. I am surprised that Italy would beat us. Like, who's the best player on the Italy team that's someone that's in the majors?
is it Bregman? Is Bregman on that team?
Is he?
I think so, yeah.
That's weird. That's like another one of those examples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, dude, anytime you could showcase the brand though, or the individual players, I think it's a good thing. So I like the mechanics of all of this. It just some of the rosters are severely weak sauce. USA shouldn't have not lost last night. That's a bummer. So they got to step it up.
Hopefully they get in because what happened? Who won it last time? Korea beat us and struck out the last time. Who was it that was pitching? I mean, it was just like a classic game, end of game to win the championship scenario. And I think that that's good for baseball whenever that's happening. It definitely gets me fired up for the season.
The 100%, man. I Baseball needs anything to make it more attractive, in my opinion.
Yeah, and this is a good showcase for that. All right, on to the next thing. which is still baseball, but more Red Sox focused. Outside of Roman Anthony, outside of Yoshida, like how are you feeling about the Red Sox with opening day 2 weeks away? Something like that?
Okay, I like it a lot, actually. I have hopes that some of the younger kids take another leap. I'm hoping Mayer gives us something here in the infield, but a
How's
couple
he
of
doing? How is Mayer? Is he healthy right now?
he's healthy, so that's the major thing. Is the kid going to be healthy? Because everything else suggests that this is a kid that should play baseball every day on the major league club. Can he stay healthy? But you know, two things with the Red Sox. Number one, and this is very rare, you have so much pitching. I mean, it's everywhere. Starting, middle relief, and back end of the bullpen. This should be a fun team to watch pitch, number one. So hopefully they stay and we hopefully they stay healthy. If they don't, there's some depth there that actually could carry us. It's that part of it is really exciting for me. It seems like we got a solid 2 and 3, which we lacked in New York last year in the playoffs. But also, we have a surplus in the outfield. Also, we have the Yoshida thing. We have Cassis coming back. So it's like,
That's just
yeah, Cassis. It's like you've had between him and Duran. Let's use Duran. I think they're interchangeable as far as what you see versus what they've shown for production. Duran, you look at that body of work and you just look at him physically and you're like, man, is this a guy that can give us like 35 bombs and 60 steals and just absolutely wreak havoc in the MLB?
I think he has 6 home runs preseason, right? Got some off some lefties. He's having a great preseason, which is making everyone especially optimistic about him for the Sox
Yeah.
this year.
You got some stuff there. We got a couple extra parts. What happens with that? Who gets the playing time? Do some of the young guys actually make the leap? Brian Bayo, in the starting rotation. How does that look this year? Sedane in center field. I mean, I love that kid. Holy cow.
Love that kid.
It's like Mookie Betts, light. So I have some excitement going into this year. It's last thing for me is like you got some infield questions, but I think you fixed first base. Granted, we lost Bregman, but I actually think the offensive swap there with Contreras is actually going to offset the loss of
Yeah.
Bregman. Bregman was
Well, we
terrible.
talked about this before. He wasn't playing good into the season, anyways.
No,
So,
it was like
yeah, I
seven
mean,
weeks
if
ago.
anything, he maybe misses leadership and his locker room presence, but
Yeah.
his production wasn't, what we needed. Now we'll save the money. Not that they spend money on anything, but in theory.
In theory, and that's the thing last year, it's like you lost a couple of bats late and you needed a guy like Bregman to actually step his game up and it just wasn't there. And you start to worry about that later. And he's in his 30s, he plays a taxing position. It's like I bet the Cubs end up regretting that move anyways. But
At some point, for sure. One thing I am looking forward to, and we'll move on to the next thing. I'm just looking forward to having the Sox on all the time.
yeah,
Like just that ritual of having the Red Sox on in the background, 6 nights a week, and the kids are all about it too. So that's the sneaky thing that I look forward to now in baseball season.
I actually might buy Nesson this year. I've been ripping off the games from this like free site.
I wasn't going to call you out. I thought about saying it, but I'm glad you brought that up. Just fucking buy this. Jesus Christ.
It's so funny, man. Whenever we're doing the text thing, I gotta get out of my cell phone to go to the app to respond to the Red Sox
It's
text.
like 30 freaking bucks a month. Buy it from April to freaking September. You'll be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, I
You'll be
know.
fine.
I'll have some money left over.
All right, we're going to move on to NFL. And what was a freaking crazy story over the past 24 to 48 hours is all of a sudden Raiders are trading Max Crosby to the
Yeah,
Baltimore Ravens, only
yeah.
for them to do the physical, fail him, renege on the signing or the trade, and then go sign freaking Trey Hendrickson the same day. What a crazy turn of events that was.
Where do you lie? Where does the fault lie in this for Randy Force here? Like who? Where does the problem start here?
Well, I don't know. I guess from what I read, it seems like the Ravens did the Raiders dirty. It
Yeah,
sounds like whatever's going on with his knee was something that was known to the Ravens at the time of the trade. It wasn't a surprise, the procedure that was done and what the prognosis is for that recovery and what they could expect to get out of him moving forward. So the Ravens should have known that. I mean, I didn't see the freaking MRIs. I didn't do the test. I don't know how this all works. Unless they saw something that just really did spook him, it seems like they just maybe got cold feet more than there was actual problem.
So I actually thought 100 on everything you just said. What a terrible transaction for Baltimore, just to begin with. Like, the player is amazing. Same thing with the Packers getting, what's his face, the outside linebacker from Dallas. I don't know why his name's failing me
Well,
right
like
now.
Micah Parsons?
Yeah, so you give up so much draft capital for a guy and he gets injured. So it's like you lost the draft capital, you don't even have the player playing. I don't know how much I would be motivated if I was running football teams to get rid of high-end draft capital for Crosby's awesome. Parsons awesome. But what happens if they get hurt? They get hurt and you lose your draft capital. And I think this is a sort of a sneaky angle of it is like, of course they were aware of the stuff going on in his knee. At the end of the day, maybe a doctor looking at the stuff said, Jesus, this looks a little bit more sus than I thought. Or going into this looks suspect. We should probably get out of this. Man, it does. The mechanics of all of it is terrible, I think.
No, what's wild is the Raiders go on a freaking spending spree
Yeah.
after they trade him. So it's like I don't know the economics of the salary cap for them and what that looks like, but I know that they just signed a whole bunch of different people, and I'm sure they did it under the pretense that Max Crosby and his salary was going to be in Baltimore now. So it's just such a weird thing. Just to go get Trey Hendrickson like 2 seconds later, it's like that's probably what they should have did all along, you know.
And this is a guy that actually was injured last year himself for the Bengals. He was kind of in and out of that lineup late. So it's like, okay, what looks better about his physical than Max's? Obviously, major
It
decent.
hurts his value. It'll be interesting to see if they trade him. I think they kind of. Max said he doesn't want to play for Raiders, and I'm sure the Raiders would like something for him. But I bet you what they end up getting is not close to what Baltimore was going to offer, which sucks for them. But screw them. I don't care. All right, on to a team I actually care about, though. Pat's been making some moves. I don't know, dude. I don't love it, but tell me about the moves that you think were good for the Pats. I mean, they really signed I think four main players. But what do you think?
Yeah. I think you could do anything on the edge. So losing Chase on today to Washington, whatever. They ended up signing the guy from Baltimore. Actually, bigger body, applies pressure on the quarterback. I think this guy actually holds his lane a little bit better on the run.
Is that Draymond Jones?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I actually see that as a better fit as far as like the scheme and being disciplined. Good move there. I think you added some linebacker depth today. You actually released Jennings. So something that I actually want to say that I think is sneaky is I know right now that Dobbs is not like a sexy pickup for the Pats. I said this yesterday in our text string. I don't know if you saw it or not, but I think at this point in Dobbs' career is the point in the Jacoby Myers career when we actually lost him to the Raiders. I think Dobbs is actually in the area of actually starting to give the NFL Dobbs actually should be Myers in this equation is what I'm getting at. I think we're getting Dobbs at the right time with Myers' production. So I don't think that's a bad thing.
Can you take Dobbs serious with his helmet thing? I mean, dude, don't get me wrong. You don't want a guy that gets concussions to keep getting concussions, and it's smart. It's just a weird thing to see on the field, especially when there's only like a handful of guys that wear it. But it is kind of a funny thing. It does make me hard. It does make it hard for me to fully be all in on him because of that. Although it's a weird thing to say, but it's just
I think it's funny. The Wilson guy that's probably going to be our center next year was just our left guard. He was the first NFL player to play in a Super Bowl with that additional helmet. And so, you did ask me the questions. What moves are nice so far? I think we're hitting doubles right now. I think we improved that left tackle, although the guy was out of football last year, but he was a monster for the Jets the year before. You added some linebacker depth. You added some edge depth. The question for you is what would you do with Gonzo? Hey, and I'm going to say this, Randy. I know I'm asking the question, but I actually don't like paying cornerbacks. The shelf life for a cornerback, you should see all of these big deals. They end up being dog shit for the teams that sign him.
Yeah. So then you just trade him away and try to get some assets. He's just great. He had a great Super Bowl. So I'm inclined to pay a guy who's probably our best player on our team. I would think. I'm sure people will want to say Drake is, but Gonzo's probably the best person on our team. So I don't know. I'd be inclined to pay that kind of guy. But I hear what you're saying. It's kind of like running backs that way. It's like when they're gone, they're gone, and then you're sitting on all this money. Is he young enough that you do get the full value for whatever contract you give him?
Yeah, it's like, look, he's a unicorn. We're getting him. We have to re-sign him at the right age here, so it's not going to be a bad move by us. I know our time just expired, but one quick thing, going back to wide receiver, I don't think it makes sense at all for the Eagles to trade Brown to us before June 1st. We need to pump the brakes as Patriots fans on what we have in the wide receiver room. I think that I think if that move's going to happen, it's going to be after June 1st.
I like that. I would like to get him. He seems like he has a good relationship with Vrabel. You obviously don't want to give up too much, but like we need a number one dude. You know, like we get Drake on a good contract. Like let's get this dude weapons. Like we the handful of times we did that for Brady, it was awesome. And he didn't. Besides that, he didn't always have the best guys. So like let's get him a top 10 guy. But yeah, it'd be interesting to happen after June 1st or whatever you just said. But there's no one else to get, dude. Alec Pierce was never coming, and honestly, I'm glad we probably didn't spend the money on him. Besides that, there really is like no one to sign. So it's a weird year for receivers.
The prediction for draft capital in the trade will be this from me: second round pick in a future fourth.
I would take that. I would do that all day long.
I would do that all day long. Will it get done? I think that package gets it done post June 1st. I think we have to pay more to them to have them absorb the dead cap space if they trade them prior to.
Before, yeah,
Yeah, so we'll
cool.
see.
And it seems like he wants to come to the Pats, and it seems like it's a deal that's in a weird way destined to happen. So we'll see. All right, now to just general signings. Are there any people that kind of come to mind to you in terms of signings that have been made, and teams throughout the league in the past few days?
I thought it was a good job by Indy to get Pierce back. That's You always wonder about a guy that's going to get a bunch of money like that with those stats and then just in their program. It's like when he goes somewhere else, is that an overpay? We'll see if he was worth it to them. But man, it's just the usual stuff of guys going back and forth. Nothing surprises me anymore. I'm so desensitized of player movement where it's like, I think the last one that really grabbed me was Brady going to Tampa. Is there anything that's happened the last couple of days for you where you're like, I wasn't expecting that?
Not that I wasn't expecting it, but like to see Ken Walker go to the Chiefs, it's kind of like, of course,
Yeah,
the Chiefs are going to get some freaking really good running back that just won the Super Bowl MVP. I can't remember. I listened to something. You probably listened to it too. It might have been on Simmons' podcast. The last time a Super Bowl MVP changed teams after winning the Super Bowl MVP,
yeah.
whoever that guy was, but I remember him getting like a pick six and winning that MVP. And then next year he was on a different team. It's the last time that's happened. So it's a little bit of big news and probably helps Kansas City's chances next year, depending on Mahomes' health.
Good pickup for them. I actually like their offseason so far. I wonder how far along Mahomes is with his stuff. It'll be interesting to see if the Chiefs can kind of get back to the top again.
You come back from those ACL injuries a little bit quicker than something like an Achilles injury like that Tatum had. And I think he had it kind of middle of the season, maybe the back third of the season. But I've heard he's going to be back. The corpse of Travis Kelce will be back next year as well. So I'm not super worried about that. I was actually surprised he came back. I thought he was done.
Yeah, me too. But, that's the thing. Big body. He's a presence there. And what was it, $12 million they gave him? So what's he not going to do that?
Dude, he's doing okay money wise. He was crying. I think he cried that last home game. Which if it's your last home game and all the memories, it's probably emotional. But like, it very much seemed like he was going out in that moment, and then just to resign. I guess. Hey, he can do whatever the hell he wants for all I care. But it's just interesting.
You
What do you
know,
think about Geno Smith to the Jets?
Geno Smith to the Jets. That was an interesting one. Did the
That
Jets?
was a trade, not a signing, but
Yeah. I don't know, man. Isn't it interesting where Geno is in his career? He's had some pretty good years between Seattle last year. I know it is what it is. It's the Raiders, but it's kind of funny he's going back to New York. And it's always interesting to me that the AFC East is always in this turmoil area between the Jets and Miami. Here we are again with the Jets in Miami, basically gifting 4 wins to the Bills and the Pats again.
it's weird. Yeah.
It's weird.
Like,
It's constant.
do you think of Geno Smith like they just like freaking what's his name that just won the Super Bowl? Like, guy's been on the roster already, and instead you get him in the back end of his career, give up all this stuff to get him. Not that it was much; it was like lower end draft picks, but you guys are a freaking mess, the Jets. I don't know why I have this as its own category, but I just felt like I I wanted to have a specific conversation about it, but it was Kyler Murray and just what that guy's deal is. He is a guy that always seemed like he had so much more potential than was actually ever delivered. You know, he just didn't really seem like he panned out in Arizona. And now he's a free agent. He's not going back there. And it's like, have you heard where he might end up?
I haven't heard, but like I think like RG3, Jaden Daniels is a player of his sort of physical stature that I start to wonder, is he going to be an injured guy? Is he going to be a quarterback on the move? There's just, dude, over the years, the smaller quarterbacks, they always end up changing teams. There's never any longevity there. Isn't it interesting how that happens? This guy, yeah, so Arizona goes with what? Rosen 1 year, and then immediately pivots to him, and here we are a few years later, and he's already cut. It's
But he's been hurt a ton. And like you
yeah,
said, with those guys, they're always going to miss a handful of games, never get into a flow. He's in a tough division ish, so it would have been nice for him to go to the Jets more than someone like Geno Smith. But there's a little bit of talk about him going to Minnesota, which I think Minnesota is a quarterback away. And I feel like they need to do something. It doesn't seem like JJ McCarthy's their guy. So it might be a good landing spot for him with the weapons that the Vikings have to get him playing in a dome up there, controlled weather, so it's not like it's a cold weather place, at least when you're playing on the field. So that could be an interesting one for me.
we're on the topics of quarterbacks, so it's like you've got Darnold that has this scattered history that all of a sudden turns into what he has. Baker Mayfield's turned his career around. I'm going to mention a former New England quarterback, and I want to ask you, the tape on Mac Jones looked pretty good last year.
There was some talk about San Fran trading him. Where was it? Was it to Minnesota as well?
That's
But
what I
some,
thought it was. Yeah.
I actually would like that for him. I don't care about Kyler Murray, and not like I love Mac Jones, but we had a good run that year with him. It would be cool if he ended up in a decent playing situation, and he had a good few game stretch this past season, so he's got some gas left in the tank.
Yeah, that looked way better, but it's like my mind started spinning on, geez, where are quarterbacks landing? And in the back of my mind, I'm like, Mac looked really good for that run there while Barack was out.
To
So
the point that there was chatter about like should he just be the quarterback? Even though they gave Purdy that huge contract, but I don't think that
it's
that's realistic at this point. But yeah, hopefully he gets traded someplace so he can get on the field. So I want your Mac Jones rookie cards to be worth something ultimately.
I still have him.
Yeah, just hold on to him, dude. You
Hey,
never
you never
know.
know. You never know. He could turn into Sam Darnold.
All right, that's it for this one. That's it for NFL for me. Just got a couple quick hitters. We'll just do 2 minutes for these ones and just move on quickly. But March Madness. We're in March, dude. Like it's conference championship week. I think March Madness starts next Thursday. Like, where are you at with March Madness? Is this even on your radar anymore?
It becomes something that's on my radar as we get closer. I'm not a big college guy, but I find myself during the tournament paying attention to the prospects. It's like my prep for the NBA drafts. And now that the Celtics are always on the back side of the draft, it's like I don't really dive in like I should, but I'm a big Duke guy. Like I do love Duke. I always pay attention to Duke.
I've
And
never thought of you as like a Duke guy.
big Duke guy.
That's so funny that you say that. I know Tangway is, and there's a
Yep.
ton of Duke guys. I mean, I obviously followed Duke last year because of Cooper Flag, but I would never consider them to be myself to be a Duke guy. But they're definitely good. They're going to get a 1 seed, and they get some great players, so it'll be fun to watch them.
Boozer. Yeah, it's Boozer, and it's like, this is an age thing for you and I, buddy, but it's like some of these professional players that we grew up watching now have kids that are like 5 minutes away from the league, and it's really interesting. That's happening to us.
Well, I mean, look at last night. You got Ron Harper Jr. versus Dylan Harper, and their dad was Ron Harper, who played on the '96 to '98 Bulls and had a career outside of that. But like,
Yeah.
you see these guys that we watch kids playing all the time now in all sports, and it's really strange.
It's nuts, man. It means we're getting up there in age, which is a weird feeling, but whatever. It is what it is. Yeah, and I wonder for you though, if it's like, now that you got the three kids, you got a million things going on, it's like, some things fall off, and that's one of those things for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if I'll do a bracket thing anymore. Maybe. So, last thing I want to talk about, it's going to be a quick hitter because I don't think you're as into it as I was, but Olympics were a few weeks ago. How much was that on your radar? Like, what were some of the memorable things for you
Yeah.
coming out of the Olympics?
Once I understood that basically curling is a scoring system like bocce, I was a big bocce guy years ago.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like
curling,
closest.
go for it.
No, you just like what's the closest to the.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Macy started barking in the background, and I think it screwed up our cadence. Dude, curling is so fun to watch. Curling had me locked. I was bummed out when USA lost.
Yeah. Okay. I felt like curling was always on TV, and I could never tell like what the hell was going on. So like I never really got into it, but I know like a lot of people were. So for me, curling wasn't as much of a thing. Like I think if I really think of the Olympics, like what the main things were, men's hockey winning the gold medal was like something I'll probably remember 30 years from now. That was pretty awesome. And it was cool that we were able to watch it together with some other friends that like run in the mill that morning. It was just like a memorable thing.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool. What an ending to a great hockey game, huh?
I mean, dude, they were getting their asses kicked the whole game. And it was, we just kept grinding and it was awesome.
It was great. I mean, the start, like the first period was pretty awesome for us. And then it was just us playing defense the whole time. And then you take guys off the ice, and in theory, they had better, speedier skaters than us. And we just come right out and take over. Awesome shot, game over. And it's always awesome to be on the right side of things when you're a fan of the USA.
Yeah. Besides that, I thought the women's field skater, I think it's Alyssa Liu, that was a memorable thing. Probably not so much for you, but I got a chance to watch that night with my girls. We're all pretty much into it. So that's something I'll probably remember from this Olympics. Maybe Lindsey Vonn breaking her leg was a memorable moment. Not that I saw it live, but that was kind of a big deal. But I enjoyed the Olympics, dude. I really do. I don't know why. I always have. And it's a bummer that it's done. But yeah, Summer Olympics in a couple of years.
So I know the timer just went off, and before we got on the podcast today, you said, "Hey, Beds, should we add anything?" And I went over the list real quick, and I didn't have anything initially. Now I do. I'm going to go into my Tom Brady imitation. I have to throw some bouquets at the great Jason Daly, Jason Dupree, and Brian Daly. Those two own us right now, buddy.
We beat him yesterday once.
Yeah, we're getting back on track. I think that was encouraging yesterday, but man, oh man, Sacco has been beating Biddeford here. Just to give you guys a little bit of a pickleball update, it's been brutal. Randy and I have just, it's what was it, like 6-8 weeks of just, man,
double losses.
Double losses. Yeah.
Not ideal.
Not ideal.
But hey, I think we won yesterday. Did we win one last week?
Yes, we did. That was the first time.
Yeah. Last week, I think, was the first time we won one in a long time. Then we won another one yesterday. And we actually should have won
two of them.
More than that. We were up, and we kind of choked City at the end. Dude, encouraging. But it had been a bad run. Dark days for Biddeford versus Sacco, but we're getting back on track.
And before we let you guys go, there's a couple of variables here that made me want to bring this up. Number one, congratulations, Sacco. Whatever. Number two, I found the paddle that I needed to find. So now I have my paddle. I think Randy found his paddle yesterday.
I think I'll be pulling the trigger this weekend.
Yeah.
And I think that's it, man. It's just like golf, dude. It's just all the golf clubs. It's not anything to do with how I swing. Nope. It's just the clubs. This is just the same thing. It's the paddle, dude. That's been the problem.
That was a different Randy Forcier yesterday, and I was encouraged by it. Yeah.
It was fun. So we'll keep you posted.
So that's it for my pickleball talk.
All right. Anything else?
Nope. That's it. Thank you to the listeners. We'll see you soon. And hopefully we got some good Celtics talk coming up here in the next couple months.
Absolutely. All right, bud. Talk soon.
All right.